Hi and welcome back to my channel. Today I've got another whimsical wearable, and that is a collaboration with Christina, Sobit Christie and Dottyybeevintage. I'll have their links below. That they are doing different wearables made with all sorts of reclaimed fabrics, etc. And yeah, check them out below and see if you'd like to join in with it too and check out what they're making. Now, my last one went to my daughter. I gave it to her on the weekend and she loved it. So I'm just really glad that she did, because you know, sometimes it's a hit and miss when you make things for your daughters, but she loved it. And this time I'm doing a necklace that is inspired by Dottyybeevintage, and she made a gorgeous one with these little puff flowers and put it all together in a really different way. So thank you, Sally, for showing us how to do that one, and don't forget to check out the links below if you want to see the original creators of some of these things. All right, I'll show you what she did first with the flowers. They're really easy to make, and I've got my circle template here, and all I'm doing is tracing circles onto the fabric. I've just got one of these erasable pens, and this one erases with heat, and but it doesn't really matter. You're not going to see the pen on this once you've done it. And the circles here are just sewn together like you would a yo-yo flower. Really easy stuff here, nothing hard. And like I said, you know, if you want to get the true inspiration for this, pop over to Sally's YouTube channel, which is called Dottyybeevintage, and check her out. She does some really cool stuff. Actually, Sally was the host of the slow stitching book that I recently did, so yeah, you'll enjoy her channel. So we're just going to do a running stitch all the way around, and I'm just using the same thread that I'm going to tighten up my little flowers with. Okay, instead of changing threads and everything, I'm just using a really fine crochet cotton, really fine one, and then that's going to go through my beads and stuff as well. So you'll make sure you've got a needle that'll go through your bead, and that's just going to save you time and save you changing needles. So I hope you're all having a great day. I hope you had a great Mother's Day. Thank you to the ladies who wished me happy Mother's Day. I appreciate that. My Mother's Day, it was quiet, but it was nice. Okay, once you've done your running stitch around, just grab a little bit of stuffing, or this doesn't have to be stuffing. It can be a piece of scrap fabric or some yarn or whatever you've got to stuff it with. And just zip that in, pull it tight, and make sure that stuffing all goes in there. I actually rang my dad just before the weekend. It was his birthday on Mother's Day, so I wished him a happy birthday. He turned 95. Yeah, he's having a good old innings, he is. So it's a bit bittersweet, because you know, Mother's Day, I miss Mum, and but Dad's birthday's always been on Mother's Day, so he's always been outshone in the past, and now Mum's not here. It's just him. So they wanted me to come up for his birthday, but we couldn't get up on the coast this time, so just pull that in tight, okay, and make a little knot at the back, and then you're going to bring your thread back to the top in the middle, somewhere in the middle. Okay, and then I'm going to put 4 little loops on it. So I'm going to loop back around to the back and then come back to the middle, but I'm going to pull that tight. Okay, so it puts a little indent in that, and then fold it round to the back, pull that tight again, and my needle just came unthreaded. Okay, so pull that tight again, fold it round to the back again, and come back up to the top, pull that tight, go around again. You can put more loops in this. Just going to put 4. Some of them, some of the other ones, the bigger ones, I put more loops in it. And then pull that tight again. And you're left with this cute, super cute little flower shape. Now once you've got all them pulled tight, I just go back into the back through the middle and just secure that off, just so it doesn't come loose. Okay, and you're left with this cute little flower shape. And then I'm going to have a look in here and find a little bead that will suit. I've got all these cute little beads that are just a mix of little faceted type beads. Right, so we're going to come back up to the top, put a little bead on, and then go back to the bottom. Just untangle it like that. Isn't that cute? And then just tighten that off. And you've got the cutest little flowers here. Cutest little flowers. Now this fabric that I'm using is just all a mix of the fabrics that Tanya sent me. Aren't they gorgeous? They're all retro style fabrics, and she sent me them quite a while ago now, and I made quite a few junk journals for her as well, and we exchanged products. And it was so good getting all these little bits and pieces together. Tanya was so generous in sharing all these beautiful fabric scraps with me. Alright, let's do another one. Let's do this one. This one's really nice. I like this one. Alright, so what I'll do now, we'll leave the flowers for now, and we'll go on to another part of this necklace. Alright, under here I've got, where are they gone? I have got some bias binding, and it's all vintage, but it doesn't need to be. Whatever scraps you have. Okay, these are the colours that I chose. Right, and I've also got some rings. Now these rings came from my mum's place, and when my dad said, look, take some of mum's Avon bottles home. So, or her Avon, she's had an Avon collectible little cupboard, and inside one thing that I bought home were all these little rings, and Mum did, these are Avon rings, and Mum loved to wear her Avon rings. They're really small, but my mum had fairly skinny fingers, and they don't fit on my fingers. I don't think they do. No, they don't. So I thought, how can I use these rings? They're not going to fit me, but I could put them in a necklace, and I could use these rings to join up sections in this necklace. So I'll put the ring on, and they could be my joint in the necklace. So when I put the next section on, it will join up my necklace like this, and then I can have Mum's rings in something that I wear. Isn't that a cool idea? So I picked out 4. That was there was a little bag of bits and pieces of Avon sort of rings, and I picked out 4 that were the same that I could use in this project, and that's how I'm going to join them. I've also got some little buckles here too that I could use in that. So what I'm going to do, I had a piece of string here that was the length of my necklace. I wonder where it went. I think I measured about 60 or 70 centimeters. Oh, here's another piece of that bias binding. There's these gingham piece as well. So what I'm going to do is join these onto this ring. Okay, I'm just going to grab out some of my pearl thread and put this tiny needle away, and pick some colours that are contrasting to these bias binding colours. And I want to be able to see this nice little part of the ring, so I'm going to turn that to the side, but I'll catch that in the next one as well. I'm going to put the knot inside so you don't see the knot, the knotted off bit. Like that. And I'm just going to do a running stitch up the middle, and I'm going to stitch these 2 bias binding pieces of fabric together, and you'll see this running stitch in the finished piece. And I might just pop up to the other end and do a little blanket stitch in that. Doesn't look very neat, but what I was thinking of, these ends were going to have like a little flower on them anyway, so I might just leave that. So I've got like a section like this in the necklace, and I'm going to do that with probably all my sections, but just in different pieces of bias binding and colors. Okay, so then I'll go ahead and also, you know, a little flower onto each end of it. So in saying that, I'll just leave that little section for now, and I've got a piece of felt, and this is just a felt circle. I think it was the smallest one as well here, and 1 3/4, and I want to put a little cluster of flowers on here. So I like this green one, I like this pink one, so I want them to look, you know, actually I might do it a tad smaller because I didn't have a smaller circle. And it doesn't have to be a circle, it could be a whatever you cut out. Now this is I've got this fusible felt. I put two together, that's why it looked like it was hard to cut then. So let's do something just a tad smaller and put these gorgeous little flowers on as a cluster. Which other one? Maybe this one. So I might do a cluster of like this here, and then others I'll use, like I said, I'll use them as endings like that in the necklace. Okay, and in using the bias binding, I've already got the both edges like folded in, so those edges aren't going to fray. Then in some of them I may even, I should have done it before I did this, I might even add, you know, a little buckle to some of them, or even like push it up a bit higher nearer to the, or put it under the flower or something like that. That I'll do with these buckles as well. I don't have many, I've only got 3 buckles. I think that will be enough on the necklace, but yeah, I'll join the others together with these rings and go from there with it. Okay, I've got all the sewing done, all the joining to the different rings. I had to find another ring to put this section in, but they all sort of match up. I've threaded on a couple of vintage buckles, and then I want to sew on our flowers. I've found some buttons and just decorate this. So this probably would be the part that would sort of come down at the front, because I've tried it on and just had a quick look at it. So what I want to do now is just sew some of these little flowers on where I want them. So I've just made different little puffy little flowers and just decide where I want them on my necklace and what part I want them to be, you know, to show up the most, I guess you'd say that. So that was done with a little flower piece of, where is it? I think it was this, and there was a bigger flower in it. So it sort of gave that little flower effect in there, which was quite pretty. Liked that. And I just want to arrange these somehow on here where they will look good. I want to put them each on just on a join like this. That one's a bit puffy, isn't it? Probably a little bit too puffy. I guess it'll work. I'll put that one up there. So I'll go ahead and I'll sew these on, and then we will put some buttons on, and then we'll do the focal point, which is going to be these ones on a piece of felt. Right, I have my little bunch of flowers, and that is going to go down here on the bottom of this necklace. So we will sew that on. I want to sew it on with something strong, so I guess this would be strong enough. And because I'm positioning this on this ring, I want to see those little stones, and connect it there. Just got to position that in the right spot. Couple more stitches in. Make sure it's all going to stay nice and firm. And get tangled around everything else. Okay, that looks nice on there. I like that. Alright, let's just set this aside for a second. Hang on, all tangled. And I am going to make a ring to go with this one too, because you all know I like to wear a little blingy ring, and my mum loved doing that too. She always, well, look, these are all mum's rings that are connecting this necklace up, so I think she always had a real fun side to her like that. She liked to, Dad used to tease her and call her Jezebel, but I loved it as a kid. Alright, I have chosen this gorgeous funky fabric. I love all my retro fabrics. So what I'm going to do is grab out my pen and my and I want this to come in a good way, so I might make it a tad bigger. That's going to come into there. I might even, let's see how it's going to go on this size. This is a roughly a 2-inch circle, that one, and let's see how that one will go. It's cute. Now I did say, what did I say? Crystal effects. That's an old that's an old version of this stuff. This one's called Glossy Accents, and that's how I glued my stabby tool, or the, what do you call it, the pokey tool, and they have stayed really well, and that's how I glued the last ring down. So I will use that again. And I found these at the Opshop, a whole container of them, so cheap. So let's put some of this Glossy Accents in here. I'm just going to put a generous amount in here, and then we will press that down into it. Now I'm going to probably peg it, or you know, something like that. I'll just get this back on. And I'm going to sit it down in there just so it, and this will take quite a while to set. Yeah, it's not something you can hurry, this one. So I'm going to just sit that and leave it. Right, and that is my necklace and ring done. Aren't they pretty? They're so pretty. Thank you so much, Sally, for the inspiration for this whimsical wearable. I really had fun doing this. I had to break it up over a fair few days because there was just other things going on, but we got it done. We got it done with the magic of YouTube. And I hope you've enjoyed watching this, and it's given you some inspiration to get all your bits and pieces out. I just loved using the bias binding and doing some embroidery on it, making the little flowers, adding the buttons, and I just love how it's turned out. Love it. And I just love all these little fabric scraps. That's when all these little projects lend themselves to all these fabric scraps, because you only need tiny little bits. Alright, if you haven't popped over and seen Christina Creates, Dottyybeevintage and So Bits Christy, I'll have all their links below in the description, and you can pop over and check out their makes in this collaboration, and I hope you enjoy. So I'd love it if you'd like, share and subscribe. I've got a shadow there. Press that bell button to get notifications, and I will see you soon for a new make, a new haul, whatever comes out. And in the meantime, stay crafty. Bye.